Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Welcome to the Healing Generation podcast, a podcast focused on lifting up culturally based healing values and traditions. My name is Ariel Jimenez, and I'll be one of the hosts for today's segment. Today focuses on lifting up the voices of young warriors in the community. We will get an opportunity to hear from one of our young leaders as he explores the trauma-informed and healing center spaces looks like for him and his community in Denver, Colorado. But before we dive in, we simply wanted to share our gratitude for joining us today, and we invite you to sit and share space with us as we explore some of these conversations. Here with me, I have my co-host, Diego Sanchez Ramos, who you all got an opportunity to meet, to hear from, and hear that beautiful story that they put together a couple of months ago. So we welcome him back, and Diego, it's nice to have you here with us, and happy you could join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank you for allowing me to come back on. I guess everyone liked it the first time. I want to say thank you to our listeners, of course. This isn't possible without them. Now, I want to start, as we have been taught by our elders, by giving thanks for another day and acknowledging the blessings that we have, acknowledging our ancestors, our relations. And I want to include all you listeners in this. Think back to your ancestors so you can truly reflect about your blessings today. All right. And as we move forward, I want to appreciate Ariel for doing this once again with us. And Sam, thanks for coming today. All right. Can't wait to get in these questions.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm honored to be here on this platform.
So let's go ahead and just dive in. So Sam, I know we've gotten an opportunity to meet you. We've got an opportunity to share space with you, but some of the listeners might not be familiar to you. So if you give us a little bit of background, who are you? Where do you come from? Who do you represent?
Well, Ariel, thank you. Diego, thank you. The whole network for just having me on, for thinking about me. We have history and we go back a long way. So again, my name is Samuel Elfay. I am Eritrean and Ethiopian descendant. I'm a firstborn generation in America. I was born here in Colorado, the land of snow. And I've been here my whole life. Been with the community, the tight-knit community in Aurora, Colorado, where, a lot of people might be familiar with, you might have heard a couple stories on the news about growing up. I went to a nice high school. I was in a nice neighborhood. I was a young child that was exploring kind of what life was about at the same time, with personal trauma going on, with a mother being lost and a brother having Down syndrome. It was kind of hard for me as a young individual to focus. I was kind of labeled as a youth that had ADHD. So just growing up, basketball kind of changed my life, kind of saved me from the trouble I was getting myself into. I did find myself with a lot of free time, that my dad was a single father, to be out and roaming the streets. Putting myself in positions where I could be, into some serious trouble. With that said, it's just like basketball changed me. I injured myself. I ended up having to move out to Seattle because after that injury, I didn't care about school. I didn't care about nothing. Just kind of went a little, savage mode. And moving out to Seattle, my dad was expecting me to kind of change my life around. My father's a pastor. Most of my family are, Protestant Christian. So there's some type of culture brought back from Africa to, our homes nowadays. And my dad was expecting, hopefully, if I move out there, things will change. When I moved out there, things just got worse. I was able to kind of pretend like I was going to church every day. And my dad knows me, but my aunt doesn't know me as well as my dad. So I was able to kind of play that off. But I ended up actually, getting involved in the streets. I was in a neighborhood that was predominantly Crip neighborhood. Ended up, gang banging and committing multiple crimes. And, ended up catching up to me one day. Ended up, doing 8 months for robbery. and I got kicked out the state of Washington, and that's kind of just where I met Jason, and kind of that's where my healing journey kind of began, and we can get down about that journey a little bit later. But yeah, I represent a lot of people though right now, as far as a young Ethiopian slash Eritrean individual who, right now there's crisis going on for my people back home, with different tribes killing each other and slaughtering each other and the complete genocide, right? So I represent my people and the ones that are now here for the first time in America, and we're now building our own community as young Eritreans and Ethiopians, so we can have something to claim as our own, right? Also, just the other young Black and Brown individuals in America. I mean, that's who I represent, and my other brothers and sisters that deal with the same type of systematic issues, right? So, and I represent a lot of people who love me and support me too. At the end of the day.
Thank you for being willing to offer your story in that way. I know there's a lot in there for us to unpack, just your journey, where your roots lie in Africa, and then, getting rerouted here in Denver, and even your small journey to Seattle. So we just want to say thank you for that. There's also a lot that you mentioned, right, within the traumas, within your lineage, but also within the healing journey.
Absolutely.
You talked a little bit about the traumas and a little bit about the healing. What are some traumas that you think your people, and specifically young people in Denver, Colorado, are facing right now? Like, if you wanted to highlight just one trauma that is major within the community in Denver, what do you think that trauma would be?
I would say, outside of anything systematic, gun violence. Gun violence is probably one of the number one things that's deteriorating our community. It's impacting our young people at an all-time high. I mean, 13, 12, 14-year-olds are dying, but, also shooters too. So it's just like gun violence and guns. That's really the number one problem in our communities and to our young people. And that's causing the most trauma at the end of the day. Innocent lives, innocent, football players. And even at the end of the day, these are innocent kids, to say the least, that have futures, right? So it's just, that's probably the number one thing. It's heartbreaking too.
So when talking about the traumas that you face, especially in Denver, how do you think COVID plays a role in those traumas and how they affect you? What is the role of COVID? How did it affect the people, especially the young people in Denver?
Well, I could tell you right now, myself as an individual with a lot of healing and knowing where I'm at now, even now, COVID's impacting me, still with my mind frame, with my focus, with, my mental health, with, a lot of, I had goals that, and I can't reach them. So, it's causing stress, certain things just like that. But for other individuals, it's impacting them a lot. Like, there's individuals who, for example, are stuck to remote learning, right? So now they can't go to school for certain, maybe they might have a counselor or a teacher that they can refer to that, they trust, that they have a relationship with. So now, due to the fact that they have to be at home all day, they might have to deal with whatever stress, right? And on top of that, I'm going to tell you the other traumas. There might be individuals who deal with child abuse. Mother and father are junkie. That youth had one meal a day, and that meal was at school. And that's the one meal they look forward to every day. But due to the fact COVID has came, remote learning has came, some individuals can't afford certain laptops. So, I mean, like for those individuals who are young, predominantly young, Black and Brown, who can afford a lot of the technology, and, most of the mothers or fathers are single, it's just like they're at a disadvantage right now. And COVID's putting them in a position where, stress levels are at an all-time high. Youth can't focus at school, can't focus on school, got to worry about their health. So it's just, there's a bundle of negatives that COVID has placed, and, especially traumas it's put upon for our youth.
Sam, man, I just want to lift up of how wise you are and how in tune you are with the community, just because everything that you shared is 100% real, right? Especially when you're talking about gun violence, you're talking about systemic oppression, you're talking about, the pandemic. I had a youngster, part of one of our circles here in San Jose, that said, well, they want me to stay indoors because the pandemic, because of the virus, is so toxic to my body. But inside my house, there's so much more toxicity.
Right.
So I'm not safe outside and I'm not safe inside. So I appreciate you lifting that up. What I would say though is I want to get your perspective. You talked a lot about the traumas in your community. What is the counterpart to that? What healing have you seen within your community, and what can you lift up that could counter the traumas that we're experiencing right now?
So I've seen a lot of, I've seen community get together as far as, certain organizations, right? In the community collaborating and trying to get bundle deals out and trying to provide certain spaces and sanctions for youth to be able to prioritize their time, right? I think we got to remember that when we have a lot of time on our hands, that's where we fall into the most trouble. I know when I had the most time on my hands, that's what happened, right? So, I can give examples. Struggle of Love, McBride Impact. I know Grasp is doing things as well. I know multiple organizations right now that are providing different programs that aren't just considered programs, right? We're just using real definitions or, proper definitions, right? To be socially correct. but but these are in place though for you to be in a studio and rap, right? To have a couch to sit on and have food, pizza and whatnot be ordered to the space, to play on the TV, to have a food bank come and, have a community come together and get food from that food bank, right? And I'm seeing also other ways that communities getting together as far as certain events. And I know I can't think of the organization off the top of my head right now, but they work with Ms. Doretta and St. Charles Rec Center, and they're doing music videos, right? And they're doing a documentary, and they're just trying to get kids in tune. It's all strictly youth led. Youth are doing production. I know Tux is doing a podcast, right? But it's like it's for all youth, and they're all talking about whatever categories they want to talk about. So just keeping kids pretty productive, but at the same time, tuning in with kids. I know, with the work we do, mentoring kids, it's kind of hard not being able to see them individually. So calling them, FaceTiming, meeting up one-on-one, you know what I'm saying? So, and for myself personally, talking to my mentor still, Jason, I still call him. I still have phone calls with him. Like I might be a little bit grown, but hey, man, I still get my guy a call and, have conversations with him, whatever I need to talk about. So, yeah.
So it seems like I got all the questions about COVID, but I want to bring up a question then, because I asked how has COVID maybe affected the traumas the community feels. How has COVID then affected maybe your ability to heal, or how have you seen COVID affect the healing process or the people who are trying to help the healing process?
I think COVID is just very tiring at the end of the day. Just to be honest with you, a lot of things being changed right now with certain legislation and, certain people in the community, right, who are scrapping around with everything they have left. It takes a lot, and there's a lot of effort. And there's people out there that I know, because even for myself, like I get tired, I get almost burnt out. But it's to the point where I've seen people like Brother Jason, for example, or Coach Oz, or Michelle, or Brother Jerry, or Brother Johnny Williams, where they're out 10-hour days, 13-hour days, you know what I'm saying? Like no rest. And I just think it's very tiring for a lot of people. And that healing process, when you experience something traumatizing as far as a family member being lost, for example, during COVID, or any type of loss at this time with the pace they're going, it hits hard. Not to mention other difficulties, that they don't mention about that they're going through because of COVID. I don't know everybody's problems because of COVID, but a lot of people are good at moving forward, and it's hard to do that. So I know that that's probably one of the hardest things for a lot of people, especially when it comes to healing and possibly losing a family member or dealing with their trauma. It's just they don't get time to heal, I think, or catch the time to take a breath, and that's. You need a breath, you need to breathe.
And I think that's important too. Our maestro Jerry Theo always reminds us the importance of taking that breath. And even, our maestro Kevin Fong that says, sometimes for us that have the ability to breathe, that maybe we take an extra breath for those that might be struggling. Mm-hmm. And I think even the grieving process right now during COVID is way different. Sometimes we don't get the opportunity to grieve the way that we're normally used to grieving.
Absolutely.
Now, what I did want to ask is you mentioned a lot of great people from Denver, right? Grasp. the McBride impact. You mentioned, Francisco Gallardo, which is one of our main compadres, right? Jason McBride, Jerry Morgan, like all of those dudes that have a lot of medicine that they carry, and even more within Denver that have that ability to really walk with someone as they continue to be on their healing journey. So if I could ask you, is who has been fundamental in walking with you as you continue to heal?
The whole Grass family, like straight up. And then brother Jason, at the end of the day, Jason and I have a real good relationship, and it's like, big brother, little brother. And anything I go through, anything, and there's nothing I can hide from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know at the end of the day, he has the best intentions for me. So that's the person who's always been with me every step of the way since I got out of jail, March 27, 2018. He was at my door that night when I first flew back from jail. So, that's the number one person. But don't get me wrong, the whole Grass family has supported me. They still support me. They got my back. I know, every single one of them love me to death, and I love them to death too.
So when talking about these people that are really impactful in our own lives, right? What is one teaching, a lesson that you have learned from them or that you've learned in your healing journey that you would like to shine a spotlight on?
Brother Jason told me something that sticks to me always to this day. And it was, if you want to know about the road ahead, ask somebody walking back. And that hit me because I was, still a young individual trying to figure my way out, and I was still caught up in the mess. And, Jason was already down that path, and he's walking back the other way, and he's telling me to stop, go the other way. So that's kind of the same message that I want to put out, and I do put out to a lot of the youth and anybody I bump into. It's just like, you don't want to come down this path because you don't want to know what's going to take from you, your family, your friends, your freedom, could be even your life. So it's just like, if I can inspire, change somebody, like one person even, then that's all that matters. And that's what that message really meant to me, and it hit me hard. So there's one message I can give to anybody, to be that.
And that's important too, asking the people that have walked that journey, right? We talked about lived experiences and everything that comes along with that journey. So I appreciate you sharing some from your lived experiences as well. Now, a follow-up question. I know you are all hands in within your community.
Right.
The good, the bad, the nonprofits, the feeding the hungry, doing all of that. What are you currently involved right now in your community that you want to lift up?
Right now, I'm currently involved working with the Senator Michael Bennett. I've been, mentoring interns there. I was an intern previously about like 4 months ago. So now the past couple months, I've been just, mentoring interns. But I've been really trying to bring back, community and democracy, right? And, bring that into the office. How can we bring our state capital? How can we bring our governor, our senator, our mayor together and really bring our community together as well, and have not only just a conversation, but like an action plan. And this be something that, nobody could stop, deny, say wasn't, put together, it wasn't on camera. So that's kind of just like what I'm working on right now, kind of like my goal. But I've just been working with the senator and, taking that experience of what legislative and administrative work looks like.
Right. So I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but as a young healer yourself, when like speaking to the next generation, because one day both me and you, we're going to grow old like Ariel.
Ariel's a pretty good looking old man. I ain't gonna lie, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope I don't have no gray hairs. You know what I'm saying? None of that.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But what advice do you think you can give to the next generation, or what do you think you'll be able to give to the next generation once we get older, so that they can kind of continue their own healing and our healing as well?
Oh, that's a good one. My personal advice, pay attention to the ones that love you and learn to accept that love. Because I think at the end of the day, we confuse from love and fake love, right? And we get to fall in love with the fake love. See what I'm saying? So it's like, be aware of, the love, who really loves you, your family, the people who really consider themselves as your friends, and pay attention to that love. And you know what I'm saying? Like, accept it, learn to accept that love, not the love that's a facade. That's only there for when another person might need you, or when, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's probably my advice.
Learn to accept love, man. That right there is it's where it's at. Because you know what? To be honest, a lot of the times we ask for love in unloving ways, and we tend to hurt the people that we say we love the most, right? So I think throughout my years, I've definitely learned that. Now, talking about your own experiences, you talked about growing up with the father in your life that was a single father. We often hear the opposite:
Right.
single moms, grandmas. How was that experience growing up with the single father, and how was the love relationship there?
Oh wow, it was unique growing up in a house with three men. We learned to build our own habits, right? But we learned at the end of the day that we're all we have, and it just made us even a little bit closer. Honestly, my dad played the role though of being a mother as well, and he did his best, and he reminded us that too. But between my father and myself and my little brother's relationship, it's been unbreakable really since my dad's been raising the two of us, just because he's all we've ever had. So my bond's unbreakable, to say the least. It's actually getting older. I'm sure you can relate, Ariel, and even Diego. But getting older, it's just like relationships get better. I mean, hopefully over time, as a young individual, me getting a little bit older and being a little bit more wiser and not getting myself in as much trouble kind of helped me and my dad's relationship a lot. So yeah.
Now, when talking about kind of getting older, as you have gotten older, how have the people around you made you feel like a blessing?
Wow. The people around me made me feel like a blessing in many ways, and not even in a materialistic way. They acknowledge me, they listen to me, they support me. A lot of the people, they have my back, and I know it when I'm not around. They have the best intentions for me when I'm not around as well. And at the end of the day, my community, they always show me love. It's just like I don't want to brag or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But my community always shows me love. Like they always welcome me in wherever I go, and it's just like it's uplifting at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be a Facebook like, or you know what I'm saying, like a share or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's just they're there every time. You know what I'm saying? Like when there's something going on in the community, they're there. They show up.
Yeah.
And that like is uplifting as well. You know what I'm saying? They're consistent. So consistency just it motivates me and inspires me. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, 100%. And I think every time we see you, we try to show you love too, and I think you reciprocate that with us as well. I think we're just love-centered people in general.
Always.
We get happy to see each other. We get happy to be in space and be in circle, and just being around each other all the time, right?
1,000%.
For someone who might be struggling accepting love from other people, or even who might be struggling to love themselves, what conversation would you have with them to really bring down those walls and allow someone to feel appreciated, allow someone to see the sacredness in themselves? What would you say to them?
I acknowledge, how I feel about them straight up. I'm just going to use this as an example, but you are a great individual. You know what I'm saying? Like based on, the time that I've been with you, you've been nothing but a real true friend to me. You've shown to me that you have passion, that you have goals, whatever, etc. But I'll be honest, I just be open. Sometimes it's good to hear the truth. And I think we don't hear the truth sometimes, So it's good to hear it from another person. So when you uplift somebody and you tell them the truth at the end of the day, that's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? That's what starts it at least. That's what starts to see that, okay, well, if somebody else sees it in me, I can see it in myself. But I'm gonna tell you right now, as an individual, I didn't care about my life, especially when I got out of jail. Like, I'm just gonna tell you right now, because for a period of time, there was no reason for me to care about my life. And that was just the mindset that you have to have. So when Jason was showing me every day, and I'm using myself as an example because I know there's a million people right now that can feel me. But Jason, told me, I'm not going to let you die in these streets. I refuse to let you die in these streets. I will die before I let you die in these streets. And that reassurance that somebody really has my back, that's when I really took it serious. I could tell you right now, I wrote on a piece of paper that I will change starting from this day on. And I gave it to Jason. So it's just like reassurance and somebody telling you the truth. You might have never heard somebody say, I appreciate you as a friend. And that might be what might even save their life. And that's my way to answer that. But there's a lot of ways too, even, grieving with the person, even just grieving with that person and letting them know I'm there for you, right? But that's just how I would personally do it.
Yeah, that's powerful. And you said you talked about writing those things down, right? Kind of like almost like goals, right? I want to ask then, as we kind of step away from 2020 and COVID, right? And we move into 2021, we're still affected by COVID, but slowly they're kind of rolling out the vaccines. We're going to slowly open up, hopefully safely. And so what are your kind of goals going into like 2021, 2022? What are your goals for healing yourself or maybe helping heal your community?
So right now, I look at it a little bit different. The way I was playing my role into the community, I feel like wouldn't be as effective as right now, right? So I'm kind of changing up the way I do things, and I'm really focused on the workforce area, really. I know a lot of young individuals that are still struggling to find jobs, that have a lot of free time on their hands. So I'm working on, investments into a trucking business, 25-footer, where I can have young individuals working for a moving company, delivering 13 packages a day, but getting a real good salary at the end of the day, right? Or good pay, I apologize. So that's really my goal right now in 2021 to 2022 year is just making the right investments and, scooping and bringing up as much money as I can so I can get a truck. And I have another partner working with me who's going to purchase a truck as well. So, hiring youth and possibly moving from then on, what doors, open from there, I don't know, but I'm hoping that it opens a lot for young individuals so they could be, employed at times like this where, single mothers or, single fathers need extra money or need help with rent or, whatever the situation may be, but providing money in our young people's pockets.
I like, and I just want to lift this up. I like how your goals don't only involve you. Like you want to bring everybody up with you.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that because not everybody's like that, right? Sometimes when we're traumatized, when we're wounded, we're in a very much survival mode and we're just thinking about surviving. But your goals really encompass all the people around you. And I think that's something that has been embedded within all our cultures, right? When you're really culturally rooted, your family people, your circle people. So thinking about your culture, I know earlier you mentioned that your roots go to Africa. Is there one thing about your culture that you want to lift up, that you want to make sure everybody knows about where you grew up, where your roots go, and the traditions within your culture?
I want to uplift, Eritrea and Ethiopia. A lot of my people from out there, we are hardworking young individuals who are parents. I'm sure like any other immigrant parent wants to see us as doctors and, nurses and lawyers, which we adore them and appreciate them for that. I love our food, our traditional food, though, man. I'm gonna have to put y'all on. I'm gonna Google some spots and your guys' city, and I'll make sure y'all get right. All right, but Jara is some real good. Well, we call it Jeddah, but just to make it easier to pronounce it, Jara. So there's a lot of good food, a lot of good soccer. But yeah, I love my people, man. There's a big genocide going on though between Eritrea and with different tribes. So it's a real big thing, and I want to uplift my people who are going through that back home, and even have family going back home because there's a lot of losses and there's not a lot of help going on for those people.
Right. And I think you got back to something Ariel said about how you're always lifting up the people around you and not just you. Like you're trying to lift up where you're from, right, where your ancestors are from, the community you're in now. And I think I honestly don't know where the question's going to come in here, but I think when I was sitting with you in Circulo, 2 years ago, and I hope to sit with you again sometime soon. But I just want to say it's really impressive to see just how much you try to lift up the people around you and not just yourself, because I think it can be really easy to like heal yourself but like not think about the people around you. And I think this is a teaching that I've learned that if you're hurting the people around you too, right? If you're feeling trauma, everyone else around you is going to feel that too.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's so amazing how you're trying to lift up everyone around you. So not just you heal, but everyone around you heals. So there's like this whole like healing system where hopefully at the end of it, no one is kind of left behind traumatized, because I think that's important. Just making sure that no one is kind of left behind. And I think I found my question here. And that is how do you recommend people kind of like not just heal themselves, but heal those around them too?
Mm. I think, as you mentioned earlier, hurt people, heal people. So when we cross that line, I think then it's making yourself available as much as you can in other people's lives. That's as much as you can do. I mean, like that's one thing I learned at the end of the day is you can't force anybody to do anything, regardless of what it is. Especially when somebody needs to heal, you don't know how traumatizing it is. You know, you can't force anything on anybody. But the least you could do is make yourself available to somebody and always shoot them a text, always hit them up, always let them know I'm there for you. I got you, bro. I'm here. I'm going out tonight. You trying to come? But
Right.
whatever it is, making yourself available. And it doesn't have to be an aha moment where that individual almost lost their life and now they're going to come to you trying to, want to hang out with you. And now, nah. But it might just be a moment where they realize, okay, maybe the people around me is not the right people, or maybe I need to figure a way to stop this addiction, or I need to figure out a way to get out of this house, or whatever. Let me hit up Diego. I know he be always doing stuff. He hits me up all the time, right? And then it's just one step to another, right? But I think at the end of the day, the most you can do is be available for somebody, and from then on, that journey starts when that individual is ready. And I'm gonna give you one example just to prove that real quick. Even for Jason, I was riding with Jason every single day for like 4 or 5 months, and it was to my 6th month, and I don't, I had an aha moment where I almost lost my life, right? And that's when Jason mentioned to me, he got my back. He's not going, like I mentioned earlier, he's not going to let me die in the streets. He'll die before me. And that was kind of my moment. But Jason was available to me every single month. I was right there with him every single day in the car. But it's just that time where I was ready, and I was like, okay, I need to do better for myself. I want to change, or I can't take this no more, right? So, yeah, that's the advice I would give.
Yeah. Thank you.
And just to even follow up on that, because there's a lot that you've already mentioned, right? You've mentioned systemic healing, like embedding healing systemically so that it is not a luxury, it's mandatory, right?
Right.
I love that. But also, you talked about healing not being easy. It's not easy to heal,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're talking about like intergenerational trauma that has been passed on. Like you as an individual is trying to heal 7 generations worth of trauma. That's a lot.
That's a lot to carry on your shoulder and your plate.
Yep. So healing, so I think sometimes we romanticize healing, we glorify healing, and we make it seem like, there's a destination, like we are healed. And that's not necessarily the case. So you, even as a smart, wisdom, intellectual young adult, has there been a barrier as an adult, right? Looking past incarceration, looking past everything, you now connected to grasp, you now connected to a senator, you connected to mentors like Jason and Cisco. Has there been even now barriers that prevent you to heal that might distract you from your healing? And what do those barriers and distractions look like?
Well, dealing with COVID, I've been, really remote. So I've been at home a lot. And I think when we talk about even just trauma earlier, I've been having to, deal with certain emotions when certain dates come align, especially with a close friend of mine who had, been incarcerated now for 2 years. I love the guy to death. And so I've been dealing with that trauma at home. And it's been, kind of a little bit harder to say with my mind and, myself not being busy. It makes me reflect, reminisce, but even, have me thinking about doing things maybe I shouldn't do, right? Other than that, it's just like as things started going remote, things started taking a toll on my mental health just because I'd have to start, transitioning with my work and, even with my emotions as, like I said earlier, due dates pass. And even, close friends of mine that I've been passing from COVID. I've had a close friend recently pass away who I do community work with, Brother Herman Malone. And it's just like, it affects me a little bit more just because while I work and I stay busy out in the community and I have an individual, Jason, who I can talk to, now that busy time that I use to fill in the gap and, my trauma and whatnot. And, it's just taken away now, and I'm kind of just dealing with being at home all day, talking to my friend about it, and then going through the motions. But at the end of the day, it makes me stronger, and I've learned to adapt slowly but surely. I've actually also transitioned from living by myself to my father again. So just a lot of transitions, and that can kind of mess up with my healing as well. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I think it's always important too as we transition throughout any phase of our lives for us to stay connected and rooted. And I think that that's always important. I just want to take a moment and just appreciate both of you. Diego, for always being willing to be a co-host and guide this conversation in a good way. And Sam, man, you really talked about earlier being in savage mode when you were stuck in your trauma, and that the savage mode might have ended up with you being incarcerated or running on the streets. But now I'm looking at you, man. You're savage mode healing. As a young warrior, as a young leader within the community, man, you're still in that savage mode, just in a different way.
Absolutely.
But as we close up today, I want to pass over the palabra first to Diego and then to Sam. Is there any closing remarks that you want to share with today's listeners? I know there's a lot that we've shared already, but is there anything that you might want to close up with?
I think kind of just echoing some of the stuff I may have said the first time I was able to come on this, just remember to give people love. Don't forget to give people around you love. As Sam said, healing is it's not just you. It's everyone around you. So give the people around you love, text them, give them a call, see how they're doing. And to speak on some things that have happened recently, I personally just want to say, I want to send my love and healing and, medicine to the family of George Floyd, the Floyd family. And recently I know there's been big developments there. So I just want to hope they're doing okay. Send them love, send them healing, because they've had a lot of trauma in their lives, especially in this last year and a half. So I just want to send them love and make sure they know that they have people behind them, and I'm sure they do. And then Sam?
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to say that I'm first and foremost thankful and honored to be on here. Look forward to, hearing from other guests and, tuning in. This is a great podcast. Also, I wanted to say, don't let anybody as an individual tell you how to get back to your community. You don't have to wear a badge or have a nonprofit or be a community organizer or community leader to give back to your community. I think we tend to forget what the true definition of community is. So don't forget, you can get back to your community any way you want. Be creative, use your imagination, but get back to your community and don't let nobody tell you how to do that.
Thank you both again. I think if our next generation is in both of you guys' hands, we're in a good place.
Stop. Now you're you know what I'm saying? You're being modest, man.
Hey, I gotta show love where love is due. So I definitely just want to appreciate both of you, especially Sam, for coming on here today. Definitely appreciate you. There's a lot that you shared, brother. There's a lot that you shared. You quoted Nipsey Hussle and talking about how healing's a marathon. You really talked about, one of your biggest mentors, Jason McBride, and how you wrote down your goals and put it in his hands. And he was able to hold those for you until you were able to hold them for yourself.
Right.
That's important, right? You're not alone in this journey. I think everything that you shared, how you give back to your community is dictated by you, is dictated by love and showing love to everybody around us. So I think, if our next generation is in both your guys' hands, and a lot of the other young leaders that we're going to get to hear from in the future, and the ones that we've already heard from, we're in a good place. We're in a very good place. So with that, we want to thank, all our listeners for tuning in to another beautiful conversation that is rooted in love, that is rooted in healing. And we continue to invite you and re-invite you to sit with us, to listen to these young warriors in terms of the medicine that they have to offer and the medicine that we have to offer. And we invite you to follow us on all the platforms. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and stay connected with us, because we also want to share the medicine that you all have to offer. Our Maestro Cheriteo always reminds us that the medicine is within us, and it's just about how to uncover, recover, and discover. So with that, we want to say thank you to everybody. Special thanks to Diego for being my co-host, and a special thanks to Sam for always holding it down and being in that savage mode, rooted in healing and love. So I appreciate both of y'all.
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all. And, appreciate NCN Network, my brother Diego, Ariel, my brother Cisco, my brother Jerry, everybody. So I'm just honored to be here, man. And I look forward to, catching up with you guys in person.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.